joke to Livingston, baby. Look at that.
Came back to the 5 fish limit and a good one.
Hey, it is the first term of the year. I'm glad to be back with y'all. Thanks for following us. We're at Lake Martin, the first Bassmaster Elite event of the year. I got out of here with a pretty good finish to start the season, 21st. I will take that every tournament, y'all. This is the week. It's been a very adverse week for weather, but I'm gonna tell you some stuff that worked for me this week to help me get that 21st place finish, and it'll work for you and your lakes, because this time of year, rain, warm rain especially, that hits these lakes in the southeast make a huge difference on how fish move and baits that you can fish to catch them. Also, junk fishing, and junk fishing is a pattern in itself, and this is the ultimate junk fishing season. So I'm going to tell you some baits that's going to help you be a good junk fisherman at your local lake. So here we go. First day of the tournament, actually, I went way up in Elkahatchee Creek, which is a common largemouth creek on Lake Martin, and it was so muddy back in there that you couldn't see probably an inch deep. And I got the old hog collar, double Colorado out, and put that Fire Tiger skirt on it, and I actually took a pink SENKO and bit it off and put on it as a trailer just for more bulk, for castability on the 1/2 ounce bait, and for the color in that muddy water. I throw it on 16-pound or 20-pound gamma fluorocarbon. This is my 7.2 medium crank spinnerbait rod. It's a brand new rod. Throw it on a 7.3 TATULA SV reel, cover a lot of water, keep it real shallow, keep it, you know, anywhere from 0 to 4 feet deep, and you can catch a big fish in that junk fishing pattern. I really had a struggle getting a limit early. I never had a really good spot to start on. I couldn't make up my mind if I wanted to fish shallow or deep. The first part of the week, the water was colder before all that warm rain warmed it up. So we started out 45, 46 degrees, and the Ned rig here, which everybody knows the Ned rig, but it's called the Midwestern Finesse Head. This is a mold that Do It Molds makes. It's probably the best one on the market because it's got a really good little stiff hook you can put in that mold, and that little small owner hook is really good for not losing those big spots in deep water. So a 5-inch YAMAMOTO SENKO, I used a green pumpkin purple copper color. You bite that SENKO off 5 rings down from that egg sac and put it on that bait. It's a little small offering, and spotted bass really love it. So the 7.3 rod, I use my signature series TATULA Elite 7.3, and it's a medium action. It's shaky head, underspin, and it's good for all these little light line techniques as well as the drop shot. And I caught a couple on the drop shot too, just because I couldn't stand it. I could see them on the graph. I had to drop down there and get a couple of them just till I got my 5 fish before I would go to the docks after that. So if you like to fish slow, this little bait will catch a lot of good fish. This was a bad deal. We had a little malfunction with my camera the first 2 days, but on day 2, I caught a 413, almost a 5-pounder on the jig, skipping docks. I'm running this 1/2 ounce jig. Now, I'll throw a 1/2 ounce this time of the year when I'm skipping docks instead of a 3/8, because you got to make long casts, long skips to get it in there. I usually use Andy Montgomery's jig skipping rod, but this time I chose the 7.4 MONROE frog rod, and I was making super long, you know, 20 to 30 yard cast and skips, and I'm throwing a 1/2 ounce jig. This is a lunker lure, ultimate rattling jig, and I just had a little CRAW trailer on there using 20-pound gamma fluorocarbon so you can get them out of that heavy cover, and I'm skipping it on a long cast with a 8.1 TATULA SV DAIWA reel, and that's the key to hooking them and getting them out of there quickly. So make that long skip cast. This DAIWA 7.4 rod is so light because it's got the AGS guide, so you can skip and really handle a big long rod like this because of the light weight of those AGS guides. So that's the key. Get your jig, heavy line, big rod, go shallow, skip docks when the sun's shining on the junk fishing pattern. This bait right here, the Livingston Howler, is my #1 junk fishing season bait, and you'll see in the video I caught a lot of fish on this bait this week. And when tournaments in the early part of the year, as I mentioned, with rain and warm rain, it warms up fast, fish come out of deep water and they move shallow. And when the water gets stained, that's what I look for, and that's what creates the junk fishing pattern in the early part of the season. So the crawfish color, the Guntersville Craw, you've seen it before. I won the classic on it. This is my favorite bait, and this is the bait I really caught just about all my fish on here at Lake Martin. And the key to throwing it and having on the right equipment, like always, this is the rod I designed for DAIWA. It's the TATULA Elite Series rod. It's my signature series, 7-foot medium light. It says cranking, jerkbait, and lipless right on the rod. Easy to find. Get that rod for these baits, because every fish I caught that were spotted bass mostly, they'd bite the back of the howler. They follow it up, they hear the sound, they think the bait's getting away from them, and they come behind it and they slap at it, and the back hook gets them every time. Cranked it on 10-pound gamma fluorocarbon line so I could get that maximum 9 to 10 foot depth, and most of those fish were hitting it close to the boat. So water that's muddy is the key to finding that junk pattern with that crawfish bait. So 7.3 retrieve, TATULA SV reel. You want a fast retrieve reel so you can catch up quick and get the slack out when they bite it, because spotted bass especially are very aggressive. They slap at a bait and they pull really hard, a lot like a smallmouth. You see the end result at the Bassmaster Elite weigh-ins. You see the weigh-in, you see all the fish, all the elite guys weigh in, but you don't see the 8 or 9 hours that went into that process of bringing those 5 fish together. It looks like it's easy so many times, but it's really not. And you got to be efficient with each bait, and you got to know when to pick it up, when to put it down, and when to keep grinding out to get that limit, because it's not always easy. It's always going to be a grind in a tournament, so you got to be ready for that. But learn to do all these techniques this time of the year, and look for that stained water and that warm water as it warms quickly in the early spring, and do this junk fishing pattern. I'm telling you, it'll help you survive a tough event and help you get a check and hopefully go home happy. So stay tuned. We guys will see you at the Classic. God bless.